The sun was sinking low, staining the wide sky with rust and fire, when Cole Barrett noticed something wrong along the far stretch of his land. The fence line ran for miles, a familiar scar across the prairie, and he knew it the way a man knows the lines on his own palm. Nothing was ever there. Not this late. Not anymore. At first, he thought it was debris, some trash blown in by the wind, a feed sack tangled in barbed wire. He almost rode past it. Almost, but the shape shifted, just barely, like it was breathing. Cole tightened the reins and brought his horse to a halt. The animal snorted softly, sensing what Cole hadn't yet named. He slid down from the saddle, boots hitting the dirt with a dull thud, and stood still for a moment, letting the silence settle. Out here, silence meant survival. Silence meant listening. The wind carried a sound, thin, broken, a sob that had long since given up on being loud. Cole walked closer, heart beginning to pound in a way it hadn't in years. As the distance closed, the shape resolved into a girl standing against the fence, arms stretched awkwardly behind her, rope dug into her wrists, the fibers darkened with blood and sweat, barbed wire pressed into her back through a torn shirt. She was barefoot, toes curled into the dust like she was trying to hold herself. Upright through sheer will, she didn't look at him when he stopped a few feet away. "Hey," Cole said gently, afraid a louder word might shatter her. "You hear me?" Her head lifted a fraction. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, fixed somewhere beyond him. "If you're real," she whispered, "please don't be him." The words hit him harder than a fist ever had. "I'm real," he said, "and I'm not him." That was when her knees buckled. Cole surged forward, catching her before the wire could tear deeper into her skin. She was lighter than he expected, all bones and shaking muscle, like the land itself had been draining her. He braced her carefully, mindful of the barbs, and eased her forward until she was free of them. "Easy," he murmured, more to himself than her. His hands were steady, even though something wild and furious was waking up in his chest. Up close, he could see the damage clearly. Rope burns circled her wrists, angry and raw. Her lip was split. Dried blood crusted at the corner of her mouth. Dirt streaked her cheeks, where tears had carved paths through dust. She smelled like sweat, iron, and fear. "Who did this to you?" Cole asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't change what he had to do next. "My dad," she said flatly. "No tears now, just exhaustion. He drank all day. Got mad I talked back, said I needed to remember where I belonged." Cole's jaw tightened so hard it ached. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his knife, flipping it open with a familiar motion. The blade caught the dying light as he leaned behind her, careful not to startle her. "I'm going to cut the rope," he said. "It'll sting a bit. You ready?" She nodded once. As the rope fell away, she gasped, pain flaring back into limbs that had gone numb. Her hands shook violently, fingers curling and uncurling like they didn't belong to her anymore. Cole took off his coat and draped it around her shoulders, wrapping it tight, grounding her. "You're safe," he said, though the word felt fragile. "You're on my land now." That made her finally look at him. Her eyes were sharp beneath the exhaustion, too sharp for someone so young. The kind of eyes that had learned early not to trust kindness. She studied his face like she was weighing the risk of believing him. "Why are you here?" she asked. Cole glanced back at the open land behind him. "This is where I live." She let out a breath that trembled. "Figures." Her legs gave out again, and this time he lifted her fully, cradling her against his chest. She tensed for half a second, then sagged, surrendering to gravity and fatigue. Her head rested against his shoulder, light as a question. "I didn't think anyone would come," she said quietly. "I thought maybe that was the point." Cole swallowed hard. "People don't get to decide that for you." He carried her to the horse and boosted her gently onto the saddle, making sure she was balanced before leading the reins himself. The horse walked slow, instinctively careful, as if it understood the weight it carried wasn't just physical. As they moved away from the fence, the wind picked up, rattling the wire behind them. The sound followed them like a warning, or a memory. She glanced back once, eyes lingering on the place where she'd been left. He said if I made it through the night, maybe I'd earn my keep. Cole didn't answer right away. He didn't trust his voice. When he did speak, it was low and firm. No one earns being treated like that. The sky deepened into purple as they traveled, stars beginning to prick through the fading light. The girl shivered, and Cole adjusted his grip on the reins, angling them toward the faint glow of his ranch in the distance. Behind them, the fence stood empty again, just wire and posts in the dirt. But Cole knew the land remembered, and so did he. Whatever road had led her there ended tonight. The porch light flickered on as Cole nudged the door open with his shoulder, careful not to jostle the girl in his arms. Warmth spilled out to meet them. Wood smoke, old pine, and the faint bitterness of coffee left too long on the burner. The house was small and plain, but it stood solid against the wind, like it had learned how to endure without complaint. He set her down gently in the kitchen chair, pulling it back so she wouldn't have to fumble. Her legs trembled as soon as her weight left his arms, and she gripped the edge of the table, knuckles whitening. "You can sit," he said. "Floor's cold." She nodded and sank into the chair, shoulders hunched, eyes tracking every sound as if the walls might suddenly turn against her. Cole moved slowly, deliberately, making each action visible. He'd learned long ago that sudden movements could feel like threats when someone was running on fear. He filled a kettle and set it on the stove, then reached into the cupboard for a clean mug. The cabinet creaked and she flinched. He paused, glanced back and gave her a small, apologetic smile. "Sorry," he said. "House talks?" She didn't smile back, but her shoulders eased a fraction. The kettle began to hiss. Cole poured hot water over a tea bag, then slid the mug toward her with both hands. "Sip, it'll help." She wrapped her fingers around the mug, like it might vanish if she didn't hold tight. The heat seeped into her hands, and she closed her eyes for a moment, breathing in the steam. When she drank, it was cautious at first, then steadier. Cole ladled stew from the pot he'd left simmering before riding out. He set the bowl down in front of her with a spoon, then stepped back, giving her space. She stared at the food like it was a trick, then glanced up at him. "I can pay you back," she said quickly. "I'll work, clean, anything." "You don't owe me a thing tonight," Cole replied. "Eat." Hunger won the argument. She took a spoonful, then another, the tension in her jaw easing as her body remembered what being fed felt like. Tears welled unexpectedly, and she blinked them away, embarrassed. "I'm Lila," she said after a moment. "I turned 18 last month." "Cole," he said. "Nice to meet you, Lila." The name seemed to settle her, like putting a foot on solid ground. She finished the stew, slower now, and pushed the bowl aside with a sigh that sounded almost like relief. Cole grabbed a clean shirt and a towel from the hall closet. "Bathroom's down there. Hot water lasts about 10 minutes. Take your time." She hesitated, then took the items from him, fingers brushing his wrist. She stiffened, then relaxed when he didn't pull away. "Thank you," she said, the words careful, like they might break if she used them too freely. While she showered, Cole checked the doors and windows, sliding the deadbolt home with a solid click. He set his phone on the counter and scrolled to the sheriff's number. Not calling yet, just reminding himself it was there. Outside, the wind pressed against the house, but the walls held. When Lila returned, steam clung to her hair, and she looked smaller somehow, wrapped in the oversized shirt that hung to her thighs. Clean, but still guarded. She stood near the doorway, unsure. "Sit," Cole said, pulling out a chair. He sat across from her, hands folded on the table, making a point not to crowd her. "We should talk." Her eyes flicked to the windows. "He'll come looking." "Not tonight," Cole said. "You're miles from the road, and if he does, he won't get past me." She searched his face, weighing the promise. "He always finds me." Cole met her gaze and didn't look away. "Then we'll make sure he doesn't this time." Silence stretched, not uncomfortable, just heavy with things unsaid. Lila picked at a loose thread on the hem of the shirt. "I didn't plan to run," she said finally. "I just stopped believing him." "That takes guts," Cole replied. She shook her head. "It took being tired. That counts." Her lips twitched, almost a smile, then faded. "What happens now?" "Tomorrow we talk to the sheriff," Cole said. "We tell him exactly what happened. After that, we figure out next steps. There are options." "Like what?" Her voice was tight, like a place to stay that isn't here if you want. Or staying here for a bit, helping around the ranch. "Until you decide," he raised a hand. "No pressure. Your call." She exhaled long and shaky. "You're not scared of trouble?" "I'm not fond of it," he said, "but I don't run from it." The clock ticked softly on the wall. Leela's eyes drifted to it, then back to him. "He used to say no one would help me, that I was too much." Cole leaned back in his chair. "People say a lot of things when they want to keep control." She nodded slowly, as if fitting the idea into place. "If I stay," she said, careful, "I won't be a burden." "You won't be alone," Cole corrected. The words seemed to land somewhere deep. Her shoulders sagged, the fight draining out of her at last. She rubbed her eyes, exhaustion finally winning. "There's a spare room," Cole said, standing. "Bed's clean. Door locks." She followed him down the hall, steps quiet on the worn floorboards. He showed her the room, simple, tidy, with a window that looked out over the dark fields. He set the lamp on low. "Good night, Lila," he said from the doorway. "I'm right here if you need anything." She hesitated, then spoke. "Cole?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for stopping." He nodded once, throat tight, and closed the door softly behind him. Outside, the wind kept moving, restless and wild. Inside the ranch house, a light stayed on, steady against the dark.